dying. I'm dying. I know I am. I have to get to the hospital right now. I started to realize that there was something really, really wrong. My heart was beating out of my chest. I was so shaky. I was so weak. And I realized that I couldn't feel my feet. When I glanced to the floor, I saw that my feet were purple. And when I glanced at my hands, I saw that my hands were purple. And when I looked at my reflection in the mirror, I saw that my nose, my chin, and my cheeks were purple as well. I was dying, and I knew it. I immediately began to panic. My heart was beating out of my chest. I was seeing tunnel vision. I was sicker than I could ever explain. As I lay in a coma, that the doctors diagnosed me with something called meningococcal meningitis, which is a vaccine-preventable blood infection. I was given less than a 2% chance of living and immediately put on life support. We have no idea how I got it, so for all I know, somebody could have sneezed on me when I was in the elevator at work, and maybe that's how I got it. But due to this little microscopic bacteria, over the course of 2.5 months, I ended up losing my spleen, I lost my kidney function, I lost the hearing in my left ear, and due to the septic shock that my body went into, I ended up losing both of my legs below the knees. My life changed like that. I went from being a normal 19-year-old without a care in the world to now relying on machines, mechanics, and medical innovation in order to live and in order to even survive. And I thought the worst was over. That is, until I saw my new legs for the very first time. They were these bulky blocks of metal with pipes bolted together for the ankles. I don't know who designed these feet, you know, they try to make them look real, but they look like they were straight out of the plumbing department of Home Depot. They were hideous. And with my mom by my side and just tears streaming down our faces, I strapped on these chunky legs and I stood up. I was absolutely physically and emotionally broken. The thought of living the rest of my life with these hunks of hardware as my legs was depressing and overwhelming. And little did I know at that time that my biggest loss, my legs, would eventually become my biggest asset. But I think as soon as I got so sick and tired of being sick and tired, I knew that in order to move forward with my life, I had to somehow learn how to let go of the old Amy and somehow learn to embrace the new Amy. And that is when it dawned on me that the old Amy, I don't know, was maybe 5'5", but the new Amy, she could be 6 foot tall. I could be as tall as I wanted, or I could be as short as I wanted, depending on who I was dating at the time. It was times like these that first prompted me to ask myself, if my life were a book, and I was the author of that book, how would I want this story to go? I saw myself walking gracefully, and I saw myself somehow helping other people through my journey, and I saw myself snowboarding again. And I didn't just see myself carving down this mountain of powder, I visualized it so strongly that I could actually feel it. I could feel the wind against my face and the beat of my racing heart as if it was happening in that very moment. And that passion and that fire that I felt inside, that is when a new chapter of my life began. I was back up on a snowboard 4 months after losing my legs, although things didn't go quite as expected. I hit this bump completely out of control, and I fell, and my goggles went one way, and my beanie went the other way, and my legs, still attached to my snowboard, went flying down the mountain. And meanwhile, I was still sitting up on top of the mountain, completely embarrassed. I wasn't expecting that at all, and actually I heard a lady scream from the chairlift, which I'm sure she racked up years of therapy bills. Anyways, I remember I was just so discouraged, you know, and I could have easily thought, well, this is impossible. I obviously can't snowboard with 2 prosthetic legs. But I thought, if I could figure out a way to get my legs to move in the way that I need them to, and if I could figure out a way to keep these detachable body parts attached to my body, then I would be able to do this again. And that's when I learned that the obstacles and the challenges in our lives can only do 2 things. one, stop us dead in our tracks, or two, force us to get creative. So I decided to make a pair myself. My leg maker and I, we put random parts together and we made a pair of feet that I could snowboard in. And believe it or not, these babies actually worked like a charm. But it was these legs and the best 21st birthday gift that I could ever receive, a new kidney from my dad, that allowed me to follow my dreams and to snowboard again. And then I went on to be the first ever female to win a bronze medal in Paralympic snowboarding. Thank you. I've learned it's that change and it's that challenge that forces us to figure out what we're really made of. It makes us dig deep. It makes us find our fire, and it makes us get creative, because that's the only way to reach beyond the reality of this current moment, is by accepting what is, but most importantly, daydreaming of what could be. If you asked me today if I would ever want to change my situation, I would tell you guys no. Because my legs haven't disabled me. If anything, they enabled me. They forced me to rely on my imagination and to believe in the possibilities. And that's why I believe that our imaginations are huge tools for breaking through all the borders in our lives, because in our minds, we can do anything and we can be anything. It's believing in our dreams and facing our fears head on that allows us to live our lives beyond our limits.
When I walked out here, I got to be honest,